Hello and welcome to the Timeform Sporting Life weekend preview. It's Trials Day at Cheltenham and 8-race bonanza. It's a hell of a day of racing, isn't it, Dave?
Brilliant, isn't it, Andy? And I think that's the thing. It's a great day's racing. We can almost forget it's Trials Day. We've got 8 really interesting races in their own right. They'll probably have some bearing on March, but plenty to get stuck into, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic card.
And we get stuck in. The first race on the card is the Cleeve Hurdle trial, and it really is a trial as well, with the top 2 in the betting for the big race in March going head to head. We've got a clip here of Burdett Road. It was really impressive at Cheltenham last time, Scoop. Yeah, he was, Andy, absolutely. You're seeing there on the inside in the Gredley colours, yellow with white cap, and to come on the inside this day at Cheltenham and to win the way he did was very eye-catching indeed. You very rarely see it coming up that part of the track. But he was excellent and understandably found his way to the top of the Cleeve Hurdle market. You see the horse he beat in second there in orange, and Brad and Fize. Is that how you say it, Dave?
No, but it was a good effort.
It was a great effort. He came out and franked the form with a win at Cheltenham the next day. So it looked strong form. The way he did it was really impressive. Obviously got all those skills from the flat, and I thought his hurdling was pretty slick and quick as well, which could be a key factor on Saturday. Yeah, Sir Gino, Dave, his hurdling wasn't as slick on his debut at Kempton, but it looked like he had a big engine there.
He's an exciting horse, Sir Gino, isn't he? He's here in the Donnelly colours, in third, turning in. Now, he was long odds on to win this, and he wins it well. The second and third have won since, so the form is stacking up. And what takes me about Sir Gino is the way that he does it. He settles it in a matter of strides. He's a work in progress. Won his only start over hurdles in France. And if you think back to the autumn when people were putting together their Cleeve Hurdle hot lists and things, him and Salvatore Mundi for Willie Mullins, who's yet to run, with the 2 French imports that had people talking. I mean, he's got any amount in hand here, hasn't he? He's very exciting. Nicky Henderson says that he's done loads of schooling since, which is no surprise. I think he'll learn with experience. Look, it's a straight shooter. I've got one ready-made flat performer who we already know is 100 plus rated from the flat and is exciting. There's this fellow who's got any amount of potential. It's fascinating. You pays your money, you takes your choice. I don't think anybody can have a definitive view that A is going to be B. I like the potential of Sir Gino. I think he might get the job done here. I think he'll devour the hill. And I'm not sure Burdett Road will get away with being as far off the pace as he was that day. I just think Sir Gino, for all that he's a really exciting prospect, he just looks a big, raw future chaser. And that slickness in the speed from Burdett Road might be the key factor on Saturday. But we'll see. Like Dave says, it's very hard to be really confident one way or the other. Yeah, sure to be an informative race, whatever happens on Saturday. And speaking of informative races, up next is the Timeform Novices Handicap Chase, a race with a really rich history of throwing up future festival winners. Stage Star, for example, winning the race last year. And his trainer, Paul Nicholls, has Ginny's Destiny, who tops the weight-adjusted ratings this time. Yeah, he does, Andy, and he's been in terrific form at Cheltenham this season, hasn't he? Winning at the November meeting by 10 lengths from S Perfecto, and then beating Grey Dawning last time out, which is tremendous form when you look at that horse coming out and winning the Hampton Novices Chase at Warwick. So he understandably tops the ratings here with a P attached to his rating as well, which suggests there might be more to come, and he is a very obvious contender on Saturday. I love the way he jumps. He's an attacking jumper from prominent position, and it's hard to see him not running well. He's up £6 for his win last time, so he's in the handicap company off a mark of 147. So it's probably his toughest task this season against a bunch of similarly unexposed horses, but he might well be up to it. You mentioned his mark there, Scoop. I think this is a big ask for him. If you think about Stage Star won the race last year, he's went on to be a Grade 1 horse. He won that of 142 last year, and Ginny's Destiny's of 147. It feels like a big ask, Dave. It is a big ask, but I think he's upwardly mobile, isn't he? The question is, do you think he's going to be capable of winning races off 147? Well, definitely in the future, and he might well on Saturday. I think the difference here, here he is winning. He's in the green silks on the inside. He's well placed in this contest, and what he does, he's always just doing enough. It's decent form, well, it's good form, as you know, with Grey Destiny. Saw the race out really well. And Paul Nicholls thinks really highly of him. I think it's really interesting. He's taking the Stage Star route with him. A horse towards the top of the handicap, a horse with aspirations beyond handicap, you'd have thought someday. I'm more worried really about the depth of the race and the 147. I think it's going to be difficult to give weight all round. You saw on those Timeform ratings, there's £2 or £3 between them, loads with P's attached. It's anybody's guess. But I think the difference with him and Stage Star ran in the Turners, would it, is what you're going to do after this with this horse. Because you're looking at that Turners this year, you've got a certain Gaelic Warrior waiting in the wings. You're not going to get that. I'm not saying it was an easy race last year, but it's a deep festival race this time around. I think Nicholls have him absolutely primed for this. There's been money around for him Antipose. Graham Cunningham was sweet on him on the Sporting Life podcast. Yeah, he's got a really good chance in a really, really open race, and a race that should be on ITV if Ed Chamberlain's watching. This should be on ITV.
Absolutely. Yeah. So is he your selection then, Dave?
No. Having said all that, the one that I like's the second one in the race, Blow Your Wad, for Tom Lacey. His horses are in great nick right now. He won at Kempton on Boxing Day in a similar novice handicap chase. That was really deep. He's up, what is he, £6 for that? But he was so strong at the finish. I think he's going to love this Cheltenham test. I think the race could be run to suit him. Blow Your Wad for me, but it's a race where you could have 4 or 5 goes.
What about you, Scoop?
I'm hoping Dave will be blowing his wad in this race because I like Es Perfecto for Alan King. He's got a serious weight swing with Ginny's Destiny.
He hammered him though.
£15 though, and I didn't think it was Gavin Sheehan's finest moment in the saddle last time at Kempton at Christmas when he gave him loads to do. Finished really well for third in a good novice handicap chase, and
that was behind Blow Your Wad, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so he's got form with them too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could reverse it with the weight differences. I've been backing him all season, so he's becoming a bit of a cliff horse for me, but I do think he's got potential off his current rating, so I'm going to go in again on Es Perfecto for Alan King.
So Blow Your Wad for Dave and Es Perfecto for Scoop. Moving on to the Paddy Power Cheltenham Countdown Podcast Handicap Chase. Easy for me to say. And the obvious place to start here is Il Rodotto, who's just a regular in these big handicaps around here.
He's deadly around here, isn't he? Won the race last year. Here he is in action in the December Gold Cup in front under Bryony Frost. And what a sight he gave this day, didn't he? I mean, we thought they were going to come back. The front two dominated from miles out, jumped superbly. We're waiting and waiting for the closing pack to get there. Spoiler alert, they do, but it's in the very, very last stride. I mean, he's just... You could set your watch by this horse round here, and he's a worthy market leader. The only thing is, he's £5 higher than this, £10 higher than when winning last year. Is the handicapper finally going to get to him? Possibly. This isn't... There's 1 or 2 improvers in it against him as well. But the one, if you looked at this race, I thought there's one horse guaranteed to run his race, guaranteed to be there or thereabouts. I don't think you can kick him out the frame, but is there the potential for a better handicapped one to come and catch him at the end again?
Yeah. How do you think Harry Cobden will ride him, Scoop? Do you think they'll want to hold on to him a bit longer after he got chinned there by Fugitive?
Potentially. You wouldn't think he'd be quite as aggressive as Bryony Frost was that day. Obviously, with Frero Bamboo going head to head from the middle part of the race, it turned into a real war of attrition, didn't it, in the second part of the contest? And I think Harry Cobden will be aware of that and not trying to have a similar set of circumstances. So he's got something left up the hill, and I think he's bound to run his race, like Dave says. But off 148, I do want to take him on.
What with?
I like Bill Baxter for Warren Greatrix, the resurgent Warren Greatrix you were saying in the office.
Yeah, former Sporting Life columnist.
Absolutely, and Bill Baxter is probably his flag bearer, really, having won the Topham Chase last season at Aintree. And I think on that form and on other bits of form, he's got a big chance here. I really like the way this horse jumps for a start. He's not run at Cheltenham before, but I think it will suit him because I think he'll be up in the van. He stays further. I don't think Sam Twiston-Davies will have any bother putting him in a prominent position and jumping and trying to really get him to a rhythm round this track, which we know can suit horses really well. And he's been running okay this season after wind surgery. I don't think the Newbury race, the Coral Gold Cup, is it called these days? I don't think that suited him. And Haydock, 3 mile 2 furlongs in heavy ground, I don't think that suited him either. But dropping back in trip, ridden aggressively. Sam Twiston-Davies back on board for the first time since he won at Aintree. I think he's got a good chance. So
Bill Baxter at a double figure price there for Scoop. What are you going with, Dave?
Arbor urges to take a chance, didn't they, in their pomp? And I'm going to take a chance on Hitman, right at the top of the weights. Another Nichols runner. Last of 11 in the Old Row, and only time we saw him this season. He's had his palate cauterised since. Wind surgery, which Paul Nichols is very good at. The team there tend to get that right. And he's just from a handicapping perspective, he's down to 156 now. Freddie Gingell takes another £5 off. He was third in the Ryanair last season, not beaten that far, well clear of the rest. And I think if this is a going day, this wind surgery's worked and Hitman's firing on all cylinders, he's got to go very close off 156 with the £5 claim too.
Hitman for Dave, Bill Baxter for Scoop. It'll be Victorino for me in this. I think his 2 wins at Ascot on his last 2 starts, he's looked like a potential graded horse for me. Dropping back in trip here, I'm not too worried. He hasn't been particularly strong finishing over 3 miles in those 2 races, and I think he'll go very close for Venetia Williams and Charlie Deutsch. Right, moving on to the Cotswold Chase next, and this is a race where I could honestly make a case for any of the runners in here.
Or none of them.
Oh, none of them, yeah.
It's really trappy. It's really trappy. Royal Pagaille heads the Timeform weight-adjusted ratings. He runs at Cheltenham away from the Cheltenham Gold Cup, I think, for the first time. So it's much easier than the task is normally set around here, and it'd be dead interesting to see how he gets on. You've got the real whacker as well, trying to prove himself out of novice company in his second season over fences. He hasn't really done that as yet, although a creditable run in the King George. And then horses like That's All Right Gino stepping out of handicap company too. So there's lots in here with points to prove, and picking out the right one is a difficult task.
What about Stay Away Fair, Dave? He's so interesting, isn't he, stepping out of novice company for the first time?
Yeah, it's a roll of the Johnny G dice from Paul Nicholls, isn't it? I mean, the thing with this horse, he's so strong at the end of his races. The two novice chasers we've seen him at Exeter and Sandown, he's looked in trouble at various stages and yet dominant at the finish. I'm absolutely fascinated to see how he goes. He's like clearly on experience, but we're nowhere near the bottom of this horse. Now, Matt Brocklebank, who's not with us today, he thinks this could be a Gold Cup, but he'd fancy him for a Gold Cup if he passes.
Sounds like he's passed away the way you said that.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's the world's strongest man.
He's still around.
Sheffield. I mean, he's not passed away. He's got alternate entertainment, but he'd be interested in this horse for the Gold Cup. I'm just worried about his lack of experience in against these. I think there'll be a good gallop in this. I don't think that this isn't... You look at the 6 runners, you think, oh, this could be quite tactical. I think there'll be 2 or 3 who'll want to get on with it. Ahoy Senor will want to go forward. The real whacker, I'm sure they'll go forward with again. Held him up at Kempton, they'll want to go forward again. I think it's going to be set up for something to finish, something come and nab them. It might be Stay Away Faye. Patrick Mullins made a good case for Capodanno when we spoke to him earlier in the day. They think he's going to run really well, and not just because I tipped him for the Cotswold Gold Trophy, although I did. That's All Right Gino is completely unexposed at this trip. That was his first try at 3 miles, and to sustain the run from the rear of the field to get into contention and then get on top and win as he did, I think he's quite exciting. I think he's the one who was overpriced. He's got just as much scope for improvement, well, not as much as Stay Away, but he's got scope for improvement still, especially at this trip, and I think he might be the one to pick them up late. That's All Right Gino for me.
You mentioned Capodanno there. I've got to touch on him, Scoop. How often do you see a graded race at Cheltenham where you've got WP Mullins and P Townend on the race card next to its name and it's priced as the outsider of the field?
Yeah, not often is the short and easy answer to that, Andy. And he obviously comes in here on the back of being well beaten by Galloping de Champs at Christmas at Leopardstown, but he was 82 on that day and probably ran well above expectations, really. So he's an interesting runner, but I don't know, I'd find it hard to make a case for him, and it's a no-bet race for me.
Needs to jump better, doesn't he? Makes too many mistakes. He needs to get into a rhythm early.
So That's All Right Gino for you, Dave, and
it is.
No bet for you, Scoop.
No, I was tempted by Ahoy Senor, but with those 2 pulled up next to his names this season, he's just got probably a little bit too much to prove, so I'll leave the race alone.
Right, moving on. We've got 2 short price favourites next, in Jonbon in the Clarence House and Lossiemouth in the Unibet Hurdle. I want a quick yes or no from you both. Jonbon and Lossiemouth double, yes or no, Dave?
No, I think Jonbon will win. I don't think Lossiemouth, even though she's got £3 less now than she had when the race card was originally, don't think she's got that huge amount in hand, especially on Love Envoy, so I'd be wary of her, but I think Jonbon will win.
Scoop?
It's not a bet I'd have by any means, the Jonbon Lossiemouth double. I think both of them could be vulnerable. Jonbon's obviously the more solid one. I think he probably will win, but no, I won't have the double.
Right, onto the Cleeve Hurdle now, where Paisley Park is bidding for a historic 4th Cleeve Hurdle. Dave, can you see the 12-year-old bringing the house down at Cheltenham on Saturday?
Do you know what? You can't you? Just on the basis that it's basically Dad's army. It's the old lads having another tussle. It's wonderful to see. They're brilliant, these horses. They've rescued this gives a narrative and something to get stuck into. And he's run well twice this season, hasn't he? Newbury and Ascot. He's run 2 fantastic races. We know Cheltenham suits. We know the Cleeve Hurdle suits. He's won it 3 times. As long as they go a gallop and he's got something to aim at when he starts to engage overdrive, look, I wouldn't back him at 11-4, but I won't be betting against him. I think he's got a solid chance, and I'm an old romantic, and I would love to see him win a 4th Cleeve Hurdle. Although I don't think they can name the race after him, because it was called a Bueller Hurdle before, wasn't it? They've dropped Bueller from the international, earlier on the card. So Bueller's way to get his name back on a race, but could be a bit of a fight between Paisley Park and Bueller. But yeah, I'd love to see him win a 4th one. It'd be some story.
We were just saying upstairs, weren't we, Scoop? Every time these old boys line up, you think, surely this is the day that something younger comes and beats them. But it's finding what it is. Have you got anything to beat Paisley Park and Dashel Drasher?
Well, I think that day will come eventually, and although they have been holding the form this season, when you turn 12 and 11, it gets more and more difficult. So the punter in me does want to take them on, and I will be taking them on with Botox Has for Gary Moore, who is a brilliant trainer when it comes to a headgear switch. We've seen it a few times this season. With
Got a stat for us on this?
Yeah, I have got a stat. I will be going into the stats drawer shortly.
Brilliant.
But
Okay.
Nassalam improved £20 for wearing blinkers earlier this season, moved the chains, was put in blinkers and won the Sussex National on Sunday.
Both tipped by Ben Linfoot on his Sport and Life column, by the way.
And Botox Has wears a first-time visor. Now, Gary Moore hardly ever utilises a first-time visor. And in the last 4 years, he's gone for the first-time visor just 4 times with his hurdlers, and 3 of them have won. So I think it's fascinating that Botox Has wears this headgear on Saturday, and I don't think he has an awful lot to find. Obviously, he beat Dashel Trasher at Wetherby earlier in the season. He was bang there in the long walk at Ascot until hitting 2 out, and he weakened after that. So I think if he jumps well, and the headgear could well help him do that, he's an interesting one at a double figure price.
A lovely headgear stat there from Scoop. He's taken on Paisley Park and Co with Botox Has in the Cleeve Hurdle. Right, fellas, coming to the end of the show now, and I want a nap and next best bet from each of you at Cheltenham on Saturday. I'll come to you first, Dave, for your nap.
Mine make a lovely each-way double. This is a genuinely lovely each-way double.
I think mine's an each-way double.
Yeah, it's
Each way fourfold.
Nat Blowy Award in that Timeform Novices Handicap Chase. I just thought he looked one to follow at Kent. I was really impressed with how he saw that out, and I do like Tom Lacey as a trainer. I'm more speculative, but there'll be extra places in the race. If the wind surgery has had the desired effect, I think you won't knock Hitman out of the frame from that mark, despite top weight.
Scoop?
Yeah, nap and next best, probably not the best way to describe the bets, because they're both double figure prices. I'd probably rather go with an each way double, even though there's only 7 runners in the Cleeve, which is a bit annoying, but shop around for extra places, because I will stick Botox Has in for the aforementioned reasons, and we'll go with Bill Baxter as well, who I think is primed for a good run in that good quality handicap chase.
Victorino for me in the big handicap chase at Cheltenham on Saturday. He'd be my best bet of the weekend. And just one at Doncaster I think is worth mentioning. I like Can Do Kid stepping up to 3 miles for the first time in the big handicap at Doncaster on Saturday. Right, that's everything from us. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we found a few winners along the way there. Good luck with whatever you're backing this weekend, and we'll see you next week.